Hey there, Internet. That was an album called Mouth Moods. Yes, Mouth Moods, brought to you by my friend Derek, just texting it to me and I was listening to it. Pretty much every song is a mashup of like 5 other incredibly popular songs from throughout modern music history. I like to think that that one was called 1,000 Miles in Black. Sometimes I like to dress like a bum and go out in public just because I can. So I wear sweatshirts that are 2 sizes too big and whose cuffs are falling apart. That information was not pertinent to any subject that I might be discussing within the next 4.5 minutes, but also I have become at least 78% convinced that it will always be cloudiest in any given week on the day that I choose to film this video. The world and nature itself seems to be conspiring against me. Vzdalic transition. Also, it's snowing outside again for only like the 4th time this entire winter, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Even though there's not really any accumulation, so it sort of defeats the purpose of it snowing whatsoever, I am still happy that it's not just cold and rainy, which is what it has been most of the past 2 months. Hey, there we go. Now you can see the date down here. It's brilliant, right? That's actually kind of why I keep that calendar there. Also because I have an obsession with Charlie Brown, but that has been well established on this here internet show thing. In case you can't tell, I had no idea what I was going to talk about. I have an idea that I would like to talk about in a video coming up soon, but it will take too long for me to edit, and I don't have time to edit an in-depth video today because this evening is a concert at my church that I have to do the live production for, and I'm still not ready for it. So I have to go into work, keep looking at my wrist that doesn't have a watch on it, but that's a thing I do all the time. So this is basically just one of those episodes where I go weirder than normal, and then after about 7 minutes just cut it off and say, there's a thing. So here's something odd that I just thought of because I just ate food, also known as lunch. I don't really pay any attention to the idea of a meal anymore. Like, sure, it's nice when I have an entree and a side and maybe a salad and those sorts of things, which is usually what happens when my mom makes dinner. But when I'm preparing food for myself, especially at lunch, I pretty much just take things out of the fridge to fill in all the slots on a different food groups chart, which when I was a young'un was pyramid shaped, but is now I think just a circle that's like half fruits and vegetables. It's gotten much more amorphous, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Cause I liked the food pyramid. I usually just like pick things out of the fridge to fill in the thing and then I eat it, and then if things don't go together at all, I still just eat them together. Which is how we come up with the thing that I mentioned last week, aka pizza and mint M&Ms, which I do not do on a regular basis, but like I said, have done before. Basically, I'm wondering, do other people my age really pay attention to like crafting a meal, or do they just put food in their mouths? Because really, it's just fuel. Why does it have to be super fancy? Although I like super fancy food, it's just maybe I'm lazy and or don't want to take the time to do the thing that it would require to not just shove food together and then into my mouth. Are any of you good gardeners out there? I would like you to respond vocally right now, even though I can't hear you. I've had these succulents that I've been growing since I came back from college 7, 8, however many months ago. I don't remember how time works. And as you can see, they're somewhat deformed. They're like growing off the side, and this one I think is turning into a horror movie where it's got like tendril action happening. Can any of you tell me what I'm doing wrong? Because I bought like the special soil and I have a growth light and I water them so the soil stays damp but is not wet because they're supposed to be like deserty plants. It's just not working. And I would really like to keep them because they came from like the final dance thing we had at college, and so I sort of have a slight emotional attachment to them, but they're just kind of ugly right now, and I don't like that. They're kind of a constant reminder of my failures to try new things. Not my failure to try new things, my failure when I try new things. Still, really the same difference. Speaking of phrases like same difference, I often say this phrase, 6 to 1/2 dozen the other. I've heard it said 6 of 1/2 dozen the other. What I want to know, is that a thing that other people say? Because my fiance had never heard it until she met me, and there are all kinds of people who have never heard this phrase or say it incorrectly. I'm just curious if you say it. Also, have you ever called a vacuum cleaner a sweeper? Because I'm pretty sure that that's an Ohio thing, and no one else anywhere says it and gives me weird looks when I say sweeper, but that's what I grew up calling it. This has been Things That Pop Into My Brain Hole for 10 minutes. Until next week, deuces.